Thank you, Dean Yortzus, for that wonderful introduction. Good morning. It's an honor to be here with you on such a day filled with joy. I should begin today the way I begin each of my talks, by acknowledging publicly again that the events of January 15, 2009 were the result of the efforts of many people and not just one. Now, my first officer on that January 15, 2009 flight, Jeffrey Skiles, who has my eternal gratitude for his skill and his courage, isn't here with us today. But if he were, I know exactly what he would tell you and exactly how he would say it. He'd say, you know, after all, I deserve some recognition too, because I'm the one who flew the airplane into the birds and made Sully the hero he is today. I know I'm here because of the extraordinary event of that remarkable day. But what I'm here to tell you is about all the things I did for 50 years before that. But don't worry, I won't take that long. My tens of thousands of hours of flying experience and decades of hard work. I'm also here because my family has always valued education. Even though I'm from an ordinary background, and in one respect, my family was not ordinary. My grandparents were born between 1885 and 1894, and yet all four of them attended college. And that was remarkable not only for that time, but for women of that era. My mother was an educator. She taught first grade in a small town in Texas for 25 years, and she loved her profession. And from her, I gained two lifelong gifts of reading and of learning that have served me well throughout my life. And with these two gifts, you can learn anything. College graduation does not mark the end of learning. In fact, it's really just the beginning. You've learned how to learn, but the learning process must continue throughout your lives. Now you must continue to learn, to make new connections, to discover how interrelated everything in life is, to gain experience and wisdom by paying attention at every step along the way, creating new ideas by expanding on existing ones. These are the building blocks of innovation. As engineering students, you have already demonstrated your commitment to excellence. You have chosen a path more difficult than that of many of your peers. You are holding yourselves to a higher standard, demanding more of yourselves because your passion for science. You've answered the noble calling of science to find for humanity a more complete and accurate understanding of our reality. I was lucky to have found my passion at a very early age. I can literally remember being 5 years old and knowing I was going to spend my life flying airplanes, and was fortunate enough to actually do that. And having found my passion made me more willing to work hard at my job and become more expert at it. And not only did I benefit from this, but society has as well. Following my passion helped me find purpose and derive meaning from my life. And I can tell you from personal experience how much fun it is to be particularly good at something that's difficult to do well. While it was my natural curiosity that fueled my lifelong learning, it was my passion that gave me the dedication and the discipline and the willingness to do the hard work along the way. We must lead our lives in an exemplary fashion, offering ourselves a constant, persistent challenge to excel. And in your choice to pursue a more difficult path, to commit yourself to the study of science and engineering, you are contributing to the greater good of society. In a day and age when fewer and fewer young people are choosing to pursue careers in the sciences, you have chosen the path to innovation. This is something I've tried to do in my life. I've tried to always make the next flight better than the last one. And I challenge you to do the same. Make your next design better than the last one. As engineers, you're able to see the end result of your work, how your innovations are leaving the world better than you found it. But when you're developing these new innovative technologies, I challenge you also to be vigilant about taking into account the human factor. Your engineering work can be top-notch, and it's still possible to fail if you don't have a robust culture of safety. You must have a system safety mindset that acknowledges not only human abilities, but also human limitations. This constant pursuit of excellence isn't just about ego. It isn't just about individual achievements. It's about achieving the best result. And when you have a team that works well together, it provides the same kind of satisfaction as when you're a member of a winning sports team. When everyone is doing their job in a collaborative way, it just feels right. And I experienced this on January 15, 2009. My crew, First Officer Jeffrey Skiles, Flight Attendants Donna Dent, Doreen Welsh, and Sheila Dale, and I never stopped working together to solve the challenges that we faced. We never gave up. We never lost faith in ourselves or in each other. In a similar fashion, for each of you, no matter how dire your circumstances might be, know that further action is almost always possible. And when you're part of a well-trained team, your chances of success are immeasurably better than when you're not. When we are true to our ideals and work together, there is little we cannot accomplish. Last year, Neil Armstrong echoed this sentiment as he remembered the days in the 1960s of the Apollo project, a time when hundreds of thousands of people worked together to accomplish the seemingly impossible, requiring the very best in creativity, determination, and perseverance. He said that one of the legacies of Apollo was that children, inspired by the excitement of spaceflight, have come to appreciate the wonder of science, the beauty of mathematics, and the precision of engineering. I know that inspiration is also felt today in this room and has been felt for the past 4 years as you've earned your degrees. These are things that also inspire me. And to Neil's list, I can only add that in my experience, I am also inspired by the freedom of flight. After January 15th, I began to hear from my colleagues, people I'd flown with and worked with years, sometimes decades before. And they began to tell me what they had started to call Sully stories about long ago events that I had forgotten, but that they hadn't, because something I had done, something I'd said, some situation and the way I'd handled it had resonated with them. And they had remembered them, and they were kind enough to share them with me. Sometimes I'm reminded about flight-related issues, and sometimes I'm just told about a time that a passenger needed a wheelchair, or a family had lost a stroller, or that I stood up for a flight attendant in the face of an unreasonable passenger. My colleagues also tell me that they were not terribly surprised by the outcome on January 15, 2009, because of the way they had watched me living my life for years before. By being prepared, by leading by example, by having integrity and insisting on the highest professional standards. It turns out that my reputation had been built over many years, one person, one interaction at a time. And I think that's true in each of our lives. In every interaction, there is inherently an opportunity for good, for ill, or for indifference. There is an opportunity to be a leader. There is an opportunity to be a teammate. There is an opportunity to take responsibility. There is an opportunity to make a difference. Even if you're a graduating student starting your first job, or simply talking to a friend or family member, never forget that you're building your reputation. And that someday, somewhere, someone will tell a story about something you said or something you've done. Make sure that story paints a picture of the person you want to be. Live your lives in such a way that your values are apparent. You'll be taking concrete steps toward living a life well lived. On January 14th, 2009, my life had been a series of thoughtful attempts to be the best pilot, husband, father I could be. I was a regular guy, anonymous. On January 15th, circumstances changed everything instantly, completely, forever. I'm proud of the fact that my crew and I were up to the challenge with which we were confronted. When I began to prepare myself for today's address, I asked myself, what could I possibly say that would be relevant to your experience 40 years after mine? And what it is for you to do what I have tried to do in my life, to continue to invest in yourselves, to never stop learning, never stop growing, either professionally or personally, to choose to show up for your life and not be a bystander, to be present. None of us knows what tomorrow may bring. Each of us has a responsibility to prepare ourselves well. At the end of our lives, I think it's unlikely that we'll be counting our money or cataloging the things that we managed to accumulate. I think instead, we may simply ask ourselves a question. Did I make a difference? My wish for each of you is that the answer to your question is yes.